He's on a mission to shake up golf. Greg Norman, the player's player who's built a multi-million-dollar business empire. Now he's signing up big stars and attracting a new generation of fans. Fast and furious rival to traditional golf.
We're not just sport, we're sports, entertainment, and culture.
But his LIV Tour isn't without its critics, bankrolled by the Saudis and blamed for driving division among players. But Norman says it's here to stay, and the path to securing LIV's future lies in Asia. Greg Norman, one of the biggest names in golf, has developed a reputation as a great disruptor with the controversial LIV Golf. Now, the great white shark, as he's known, is ready to take a bite of the golf market in Asia and beyond. He is one of golf's most recognizable faces, with 88 professional victories to his name and 30 top 10 finishes at majors. But is known for more than just his swing. With a tough reputation both on and off the course, Norman is the driving force behind the upstart LIV Tour, which has upended the game and caused a rift with golf's establishment. Now, 3 years on, since becoming LIV's CEO, he's bullish about its progress.
It's very simple, one word, consistent. We've stayed consistent, we've stayed true to our model. There was a lot of headwinds in the beginning because the monopolists really control the game of golf on a global basis, and we came along with a platform or a business model that could work side by side within the ecosystem. Nowhere along, Haslinda, nowhere in my entire journey in the last 3 years since I've been CEO and commissioner, somebody come up to me and said, what you're doing is wrong. And I think that's a powerful enough testament of saying that our product is our product. And our product is received open-armed by many, but by a few who want to try and stop us for all the wrong reasons. They haven't been able to sustain their position in the game of golf. What we have done brilliantly is injected more capital into the game of golf. Golf is finally looked on as an asset class.
Where do you go from here? 54 top players, you're in more than a dozen cities. What now?
Oh, look, we are in our infancy and growth, to be honest with you. Just for venues, for example. We started out a couple of years ago about doing 9 and 5, 9 in the US, 5 international, and now that's flipped. So the international scene, the global scene, has opened their arms to us in a significant way. The USA is getting there, but the globe has opened up their arms. So ultimately, what we'll end up doing is taking the game to on a global basis.
LIV Golf is different, built around teams that compete against one another rather than the more traditional single-player, head-to-head matches seen in other tours. It's also faster, 54 holes per tournament versus the 72 the PGA play.
We'll have teams based in South America. We'll have teams based out of Mexico, in Europe. So all of a sudden you can see how our growth corridor is all of a sudden starting to magnify, because once people understand what the concept of LIV is all about, this franchise model, they get it because of all the other sports, whether it's soccer, or whether it's cricket, or whether it's rugby league, even in the United States with the NBA, NFL, right? You follow your team. So the job of the league is to build that and keep building it and building that platform. And so we're at the tip of the iceberg.
The key to securing that global expansion, Norman says, is what LIV can offer.
What we do is we walk in with $85 million of that already supported by us. $35 million in value in the players and $50 million in prize money and other stuff and production that we put on the event. That's us, right? So when you all of a sudden realize we're a plug and play, we own the players, we own the production, we run the events, all of a sudden now you can see from a expansion standpoint, the people are going, oh my gosh, I don't have to outlay all that to get this. I can just sponsor that and have the best players in the world on the best golf courses in the world, in the best cities in the world. It's very easy to get that multiplying factor to move out. Just another subject about how we can really grow our business from a league perspective is venues. Like any other franchise organization anywhere in the world, Man United owns their stadium. IPL, they own their stadiums. NFL, they own their stadiums. Think about LIV owning all their own golf courses, having each team having a home venue, and they host. And now you can build out around that. It's not just the golf course. How you grow the game of golf, you bring in education, you bring in hospitality, you bring in real estate, you bring in merchandise, you bring in management, you bring in all these other different opportunities that the game of golf has to deliver to a community, to a region. You can see how it's been left untouched for crazy reasons why I don't get it, right? But we're there. We are going to be doing that.
Norman tapping his own experience as a successful entrepreneur and businessman, from selling wine and steaks to designing golf courses and equipment to steer LIV's path.
To see where we are today is nothing short of phenomenal. Now, were we a startup last year and 2 years ago? Yeah, 100% we're a startup. Are we a startup anymore? No. Our data points that I see on a daily basis shows us that. So as you look into the future and you see this hockey stick of return for the investor, it's there. We have to manage that, we have to maintain that, and we have to keep our focus on exactly what we need to do. We can't get distracted in any way, and that's why I always go back to our platform, our business model and our platform.
Of course, it helps to have a backer with very deep pockets, golf fanatic Yasser Al Rumayyan, the chair of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. In terms of the funding from the Saudis, how long do you think that will last?
You're never going to have an investor like our investor who's been so passionate about the game of golf and what it's done for his country internally and what he wants to do on a global basis. So billions of dollars are being invested. So from a startup, having billions invested into a startup, I don't know how many times that's happened around the world. He's committed, he's here to stay, he sees the value, he sees the future, long-term value of what we had. But look, like any investor, maybe one day he'll step back and say, hey, it's for sale. But for right now, nothing's for sale.
You're no stranger to building a business. You're an entrepreneur extraordinaire. You've built massive businesses, some say a mini conglomerate, right? From designing golf courses to luxury real estate to wines and meats. Why does this business model work?
Why does this business model work? Because it's virgin space. It's never been done before. And it'll never be done again. When you step back and you look at something that's been golf through institutions has been the way it has been for 53 years without change. In 1993, I stepped back and said, okay, this is not right. It's doing the same old Groundhog Day. Everything's the same. Players are a pass-through entity. They're not getting any equity built in their day. Once they're done playing, they're out. I thought, that's just not right. When you have to build a sustainable model, you need to have these players, these famous, the world best, the best of the best. You need to give them equity into the future. You need to give them a vision of where they need to go and how they're going to get there. You need to get them to understand how to build a brand. How do you monetize that brand? How do you keep expanding that? Just don't be so insular in one region. How is it a multiplying factor like a compass? How do you get north, south, east, and west? How do you bring all that in? That's the fun part for us, right? That's a fun part of educating them.
And Norman wants to school more top players, even though it's been a hard transition, both personally and professionally, for many of them.
And I compliment the boys who came on, the first movers. They came on with a massive amount of headwinds. The vitriol and the hatred was just disgusting, to be honest with you, considering what these guys have done in the game of golf and how they've carried the game of golf and the institutions they represented was disgusting.
Coming up, One of LIV's big beasts, Phil Mickelson, opens up about golf's big divide when Latitude returns. Phil Mickelson was one of LIV Golf's first signings, ditching the PGA Tour and encouraging other top players to follow him. What was it about LIV Golf that made you decide this is the series, the tour for me?
There were a number of things that went into the decision-making process, but what LIV is doing is, it first of all gave a lot of players the opportunity to compete against the best every week. So we have the strong field every single week. And it gave a lot of the top players to have a little bit of equity in what they're doing, but the real appeal is how it is targeting a younger demographic in the game of golf, and it's also taking advantage of areas throughout the world that have not seen professional golf at the highest level and bringing that to those areas.
You've talked about how LIV will go through a disruption phase, and I think you put a number to it, about 2 years. What happens then? What would you like to see? What is likely to transpire?
Well, all of the factors that are taking place kind of quietly behind closed doors need to be ironed out. And other people are working on that, and that stuff is getting done. But as that disruption phase takes place, the stranglehold on sponsors, the stranglehold on manufacturers, the stranglehold on players, the control that is being let go. And so now that there's talk of this potential merger or so forth, sponsors are more interested. It's not as controversial. Players are starting to come over more. They're starting to see the benefits.
Mickelson has been one of the most vocal figures in the often bitter battle between LIV and the PGA over the future of golf. Right now, though, when it comes to the business of golf, there's a great divide in the pro golf world, and conversations are ongoing about possibly a unification. Is that necessary to elevate the golf world?
I don't know if it's necessary. I know that a few years ago, it was not an option to have elevated events. It was not an option for players to have equity. And it wasn't an option for players to transcend social media markets and create YouTube channels and have their own social media posts, the way Bryson has done. And the way Bryson has brought golf and this cool, hip vibe to so many people on YouTube. That wasn't an option. So until LIV happened, none of that was going to happen. And now, because of LIV, those are all happening. We have elevated events every week out here on LIV. We have equity, and we have the ability to use our social media platforms however we want to help promote the game. And it's starting to change now, or it is changing on the PGA Tour. So this is all a really positive sign for all of us. And so the competition that both tours are providing is elevating both tours. And so is it necessary that there's a merger? Probably not. But it would be a good thing if there wasn't any hostility.
If the end goal is unification, where does it leave you? Because we know that you've expressed some harsh words towards PGA. Are you able to, you think, rebuild that relationship?
So I need to let that stuff go. I need to let go of all the experiences that I've had in the past that were less than positive. And I need to let go of my hostilities, and we all do, for the betterment of the game.
Updating golf's image for a younger generation is as important as recruiting the game's biggest stars. And that means appealing to new fans and embracing technology.
A LIV Tour is more than just a round of golf. Organizers want to create an immersive experience, harnessing entertainment and technology to draw in the fans and inspire the next generation of golfers.
How do we reach down to the 18 to 35-year-old market? How do we bring these kids, these influencers, this new generation of people interested in the game of golf? There's 738 million people in the world who are interested in the game of golf. Don't play the game of golf, but interested. There's about 60 million golfers. So we have another 670 odd million people we can go figure out how to get them interested, not just in LIV, but in the game of golf. And so we sit down and you talk about this internally with your production team, you talk about with your marketing people. I truly believe we are on the road to doing that already, because when you look at our audience base today, that we have like about just around 50% of our ticket sales are 45 years and old and younger. Following the PGA Tour, it's the oldest aging demographic in sport. It's 67 and a half. So in a matter of a year and a half, basically, we've pulled that 67 and a half down to 45 because of our product, because of the entertainment side. There are places around the world where 32% of our ticket sales are women. So they're coming to an event that they feel inclusive with. Right? So all of a sudden, we're seeing these data points coming out going, my gosh, we're owning this space.
Give us a sense of who you're in talks with in terms of distribution, in terms of streaming, because there are opinions out there suggesting that perhaps people are not really tuning in and watching LIV. How do you respond?
Well, what's the definition of tuning in? Turning on the TV and turning on the channel 44 and say, okay, I'm going to watch the next 4.5 hours, that's tuning in, right? But to an 18-year-old, to a 25-year-old, tuning in may be 12 seconds on the phone. Okay, well, let me see this, then I'm going to go back and do that. Oh, and then I'll come back over here and do another 14 seconds on this. Boom, that to me is tuning in. That to me is a market that's enormously wealthy, right? And enormously influential in the direction where you're going.
And increasingly, that direction is towards Asia. Coming up, tapping into a market that's mad for golf when Latitude returns. Golf in Asia is booming, with more participants than anywhere else in the world. 22.5 million adults in Asia took to the fairway in 2022. 2 Asian nations are in the top 5 when it comes to the most registered golfers, and capitalizing on that growth is central to LIV's strategy.
I'm a huge fan of Asia, always have been for 40 years. I was just in Manila, so the Philippines are very keen to get us there. Golf in the Philippines is doing very well. You probably know this better than I do, but they've got a 7.3% GDP. Incredible what Philippines is doing. So they want to invest into what is the best thing to bring in. We're not just sport, we're sports, entertainment, and culture. So no matter where we go in the world, we adjust what we need to deliver from an entertainment standpoint, but we always have the best players in the world. The excitement that we're getting on a global basis, just in Manila, they want us to do that in Manila with one of their golf courses. Tokyo wants it. Korea wants it. China wants us. Malaysia, I had dinner with a very influential person from Malaysia, said, we need help bringing golf to Malaysia or back to Malaysia. Happy to do it. We did it in Vietnam in such a successful fashion.
So Asia is crucial to that growth plan.
Well, it is. Asia is crucial for the globe.
I want to bring in China now. You're familiar with the Chinese market. You've designed golf courses in China. You said before that if you get the Chinese playing, you'll get 100 million golfers out there.
Correct, yes.
So give us a sense of potential. And what are you doing about it?
Well, not much we can do about it. When Xi Jinping put a moratorium on golf course construction in China, I actually volunteered to go to Beijing and sit down with him and show him the value of what golf can deliver. This is well before LIV, right? What golf can deliver to its people, what golf can deliver from a economic impact standpoint, all the stuff when you step back and just take a holistic view of what we've done or what golf can do, you go, wow, let's go. Vietnam, I did that 12 years ago with Prime Minister Phuc. He used golf as an economic indicator of how to accelerate tourism. Tourism is one thing, right? It might be a 1x. Golf tourism is a 6x. So it's an economic impact on it. You have to invest the money in. So now what do you get? You get FDI, foreign direct investment. You get money coming in. It's not just building the golf course, it's building the high rise, it's building infrastructure, it's building sewage, power, airports, ports, everything that comes involved with it, right? Now all of a sudden people think, golf? Yeah, you can build an 18-hole golf course, but all that stuff that comes around it to make it the economic value powerhouse, the engine that each place, and Vietnam's done a brilliant job with that.
Harnessing Asia's golf potential means appealing to the players of tomorrow.
LIV Golf prides itself for its engagement, both with the community as well as the young. Take a look behind me. We have Kevin Na, a Korean-American golfer, giving tips to the young ones on how to do the sport better. It is all part of a plan to engage everybody in the sport.
Na is living proof that starting young pays off. He began playing aged just 9.
You've been engaging with young talents here in Singapore. What are your thoughts of the pipeline in terms of talent here in Asia?
Golf is very popular in Asia. Everywhere I go in Asia, it seems like a lot of people are playing. They love the game. And I see a lot of young kids playing the game of golf. And what we're trying to do is connect with the next generation of golfers and teach them a little bit. And this game teaches a lot to these young kids. It teaches them respect, etiquette, and sportsmanship. And it's a great game to learn at a young age. And we're just trying to encourage that. And hopefully they keep this playing, and it'll be a lifelong game.
You left school to pursue a career in golf. Would you advise future golfers with a lot of potential to take the same route?
I advise a lot of the young kids to play the game of golf and try to be a professional. But a lot of kids do ask me the same question. What do you recommend?
And you say?
I actually tell them go to college. I tell them I actually wish that I went to college for 6 months, a year, whatever that might be, just to experience what it's like. Because at that age, going to college, being independent, there's a lot of things you can learn.
LIV does golf differently.
Yes.
Does it help?
If we have a team Asia, a team Korea, or a team Japan and LIV, and these young kids grow up watching that team, and you become fans, and you build some kind of a fan and a relationship with the team, and you root for that team, I think kids will maybe, grow more interest, and maybe someday to dream about playing the LIV Tour and the LIV League.
You refer to the Korean market a fair bit, the talent in that market in particular. How do you see that developing? What's the potential there?
Well, Korea is one of the biggest golf markets in the world, and per individual golfer, it's the money most spent in the world. So Koreans are not afraid to spend money on golf, and they love the game of golf, and it's more like a lifestyle. It's not just golf. They wear a golf shirt to work. They wear a golf shirt to out to dinner. It's not just golf.
It's the DNA.
It is. And we love it. And I think LIV knows that, and I think they have hopes to, in the future, play a LIV event in Korea.
Ambitious plans with Norman himself at the heart.
You won 90 tournaments globally. You defended your #1 title for, I think, 331 days. What does it take to be Greg Norman?
I really don't know, actually. Sometimes I sit back. Actually, yesterday morning at 3:15 in the morning, I woke up trying to understand myself, to be honest with you, because, I love what I'm doing for the game of golf. I love LIV. I love what I am today. And I go, okay, when I sit here and I look at it and what I've done over here and what I've done with my business and now what I'm doing here, I try and find time for myself. And there's only 24 hours in a day. So when you wake up early in the morning, you really do have to map it out in your head. So I don't know why I have the ability to do it, but for some stupid reason, a guy up top allowed me to be able to do it.